Examples and rubrics. Over the last 20 years, there's been increasing focus in America in giving students rubrics so they can understand what it is that they're meant to do. And of course, I think this is quite positive, but the difficulty is that rubrics do not mean to novices what they mean to experts. So I was in a 10th grade classroom a while back, and this was a literature class, and the students were writing essays about a Shakespeare play that they'd read. And the student called me over and she said, "I don't know what the teacher wants." I said, "What's the problem?" She said, "Well, the teacher says my writing has to be sustained and concise." I said, "Yeah, what's the problem?" She said, "Well, sustained means long and concise means short." I don't know what the teacher wants. Now, to the expert, there's no tension between sustained and concise, but those words did not mean to that student what they meant to the teacher. So the big idea here is, yes, we do need to make sure that students understand where they need to be going, but I'm not sure that rubrics are always the best place to start. I think there is now quite reasonable evidence that suggests that working from examples to begin with is more helpful. So don't give students rubrics to begin with, give them examples of work at different levels of quality and ask them, are some of these better than others? What's good about the good ones? What's missing about the ones that are less good? And out of that process, you can actually develop a set of guidelines or rubrics with the class. Some people call this process co-construction. And I have no problem with that process, provided it's not a negotiation. The teacher is the expert, the students are novices. The students do not know what good work looks like in this subject. The teacher is the expert, the students are not, and therefore I don't mind this being a kind of discussion, provided the negotiations are rigged. What you end up with has to be something that the teacher is happy accords with the principles of that discipline about what makes good work. A couple of guidelines. The first is, when you're choosing examples to share with students, don't just choose one example of the best work. If you do, students may think this is a model to be copied. So try to find at least two different examples that are equally good, as different as possible, so that students can see there are different ways of doing excellent work. A second thing to be aware of is the tendency of teachers to mix up intended and unintended features. Let me give you an example. A history teacher had given the students a source document and a key question and shared with the students responses from 4 other students, anonymous students, to that key question, and asked the students which of these 4 is the best. And most of the students got it right. Unfortunately, some of the students got it right because they just chose the longest one, and the teacher, without realizing this, had arranged it so that the best response was also the longest. The intended feature, the quality of the writing, was mixed up with an unintended feature, the length. So the teacher was very careful from then on sometimes to make the best piece of work the shortest. One more thing that is often important to bear in mind, if your good examples are too good, it may be that some students feel that they can't achieve that level and they give up. So I think there's a lot of judgment required here in choosing your examples.